Sega has to be one one of the weirdest companies ever. And as someone who is a diehard Sega fan, that pains me to say it, but I am a diehard Sega fan. And realistically, well, I should be president and CEO of Sega of America. Like, let's just call a spade here. But Sega, you know, great lineage. Whether we're talking about the Master System, the Genesis, the Game Gear, the Saturn, the Dreamcast, all iconic systems. Then they shifted into the software side of things. It's a company rich in history, and the history is appreciated by many gamers. But Sega themselves sometimes seem to be their own worst enemy because they just kind of leave money on the table. Consumers say, hey, Sega, this is something we want, and they just kind of ignore it. Now, things are getting better with, of course, the resurgence of Sega IPs, such as Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Streets of Rage, so on and so forth. And that's a very good thing. Tapping into your nostalgia, tapping into your historical value. And they've done stuff like that with mini systems as well. You know, they had the weird Game Gear Mini that released in Japan only, but the Genesis Mini, the Genesis Mini 2, these were really well done systems. Systems that people appreciated, systems that people thoroughly enjoyed. Hell, the Genesis Mini 2 had some Sega CD love on it. Great systems that people resonated with. People that got them really enjoyed them and were very somewhat successful for the company. Obviously, not a huge amount of work has to be done for something like this when we're talking about older games, but the return on this investment can be very lucrative. So you would think that Sega would want to do more things like this, because there is the Sega Saturn and there is the Sega Dreamcast. Two systems that are freaking iconic, and systems that Sega likes to pretend don't exist. When was the last time they did anything Saturn related? They like to pretend the Saturn doesn't exist. The Dreamcast, you had some stuff with that, like during the Xbox 360, but that was nearly 20 years ago, folks. That was nearly 20 years ago. It's pretty much retro at this point in time. And it seems like these systems are prime candidates for getting mini variants. And there's been lots of rumors and speculation and talks about these things. But the current president of Sega of America, the CEO of Sega of America and Sega Europe, Shuji Utsami, I'm probably saying it wrong, so I apologize. He doesn't seem to be a big fan of this. He doesn't seem to be a big fan of this because in a very recent interview from the past couple of days, he said, I'm not going for the mini direction. It's not me. I want to embrace modern games. We are not a retro company. We really appreciate our legacy. We value it. But at the same time, we want to deliver something new. Otherwise, we'll become history. That's not what I'm aiming for. Okay. You don't want to lean into your retro stuff. You want modern gamers. You want to embrace modern gamers. Okay. What did we just talk about? The return of Shinobi, the return of Crazy Taxi, the return of Jet Set Radio, the return of Golden Axe. What are these games? Who are these games for? Because the modern gamers, they don't know what the hell these IPs are. You got to have some history on you. You got to have some wisdom in your beard. You got to have a little backache when you wake up in the morning. Now, yes, you can appeal to a younger demographic with these games, but the core audience is going to be that historical thing. But let's just take that completely away. Let's just say you do want to focus on modern gamers. You are not really making these systems. You're pretty much putting your stamp of approval on them, and M2 is making these systems. So it's not going to detract from making these modern games. It's not going to detract from your bottom line having to, outsource a mini system to M2 who knows how to do things like this. And I get it, the Sega Saturn might be a bit more difficult, but the Sega Dreamcast, it's not that difficult. There have been Dreamcast emulators for a very, very long time. Dreamcast still looks amazing on an HD television if you have a way to harness the VGA output of the system. It looks freaking great. Trust me, I know. There might be a video tomorrow because I'm an idiot and I bought something and I need to show it off now. But like the VGA output on these systems is freaking fantastic. So it's not like this is a lot of work. it's not like this is a lot of hardship. Most of the Sega games that people want to play from the Dreamcast are Sega first-party games. So I don't get this. I don't get. We're not a retro company. We need to look to the past. We need to look to the future, or it'll be history, bro. It's not like people are telling you not to make games. It's not like people are telling you not to make new IPs and stuff like that. They're telling you we want this and we want this. There's two different divisions that would be making this. It's not going to be a stain. And if that's the case, why did you make another Genesis Mini system? And you can say, well, that's Sega of Japan. Whatever. It was still made. So could Sega of Japan, is that who we need to talk to about this stuff? Sega of Japan? Because it seems like Sega of America / Europe CEO doesn't really align with a lot of Sega fans' values and what they want. In this interview, they also go on to say that they're looking at a subscription service like EA Play or Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. It's something they're discussing, but they can't disclose it right now. What the hell are you going to fill that out with? Only modern games? Not going to have any retro stuff on there because you're not a retro company? You're not looking towards your past? Like, those are the things I pick up on. When you say we are not a retro company, but we want to deliver something new, it's not me. I want to embrace modern gamers. Like, in order to make that, let's say you do make that Netflix-like subscription service, you have to have stuff alongside of it to fill it out. So you're going to have to go to your retro catalog, or else nobody is going to sign up for this. But you've already kind of pigeonholed yourself by saying, no, I don't like the retro stuff. You know, it's cool, it's our history, but I'm for the modern gamers. But you know what? That's fine. If that's the direction you want to take the company in, so be it. But wait. You can't script. Hallmark couldn't script this better as one of their cheesy movies. Hollywood would give their left nutsack. I don't know if they have a right nutsack. They would give their left testicle to come up with the script this good, because a mere few days after this interview went out, a new product was announced. You already see where I'm going with this. A new product was announced, a new collaboration with another company, much like a mini system would be. And this company, guess what, folks? It's retro. It's a retro freaking thing. From My Arcade at CES 2025, they'll be showing off this mini handheld system that has games like Shinobi on it. There's a Sonic one. There's a freaking Streets of Rage one. Like, and look at the button layout of this. Like, why would the buttons be here? Why are they here? Put them here. Why is the joystick so big? I get it. It's a mini arcade system, but this is retro. This is a retro system. So what do you mean you're not interested in doing retro stuff? You clearly are, because you're doing this. My Arcade is not a Japanese company. I'm pretty sure they're based in America, maybe Canada. Like, you can't say that you're not interested in retro stuff and then license out Sega Genesis games to My Arcade to make these little handheld arcade things. What does this say? I'm zooming in on it right now. What does this say? Copyright. Who is the copyright owner? It's you. It is you, you dumbass company. I don't get this. So instead of giving me a Saturn Mini, you know what? Take away the Saturn. Take away the Saturn. You want to say Saturn emulation's too hard, even though most of the games that you would want to do, like, what are you doing? Knights, Virtua Fighter 2, Panzer, probably the trilogy of games, Burning Rangers, Sonic 3D Blast or Sonic Jam or Sonic R or something like that. All games that run fine on emulators. But let's take away the Saturn. Let's take away the Saturn. Can't do the Dreamcast. You can't do the Dreamcast, but you can give me another Sega Genesis cash grab from another company that you are just licensing this out to. You have lost the damn plot. If I'm a Sega shareholder, I am saying I want this CEO gone. I would be starting the petition because you're giving me mixed messages. What do you mean? What do you mean you're not a retro company? What the hell is this shit? This is a retro product. There's another tweet done by them about this as well, which is the initial tweet. Oh, look, it's got Sonic, Outrun, Shinobi, and more. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, the classic arcade game. Like, what the... This is so frustrating. This is so frustrating because you're just talking out of your ass. Just say you don't want to do it. Say you don't. Say, I hate the Dreamcast. I hate the Saturn. If you gave love to the Dreamcast and Saturn over the years, I don't think anyone would have a problem with this. But you haven't, and you don't. For some reason, in your mind, the only thing that matters is the Dreamcast. And unless the Dreamcast is coming to Nintendo Switch Online, which I highly freaking doubt, there is no excuse for this product to exist. There is no excuse for you to not make a Dreamcast Mini. God! I don't get it. Someone make sense of it, please, in the comments. Somebody make sense of this nonsense, because that is what this is. Nonsense. Nonsense. But luckily, I have a Saru for my Sega Saturn and a HDMI cord that works pretty well. And then for my Dreamcast, I might have something too. So I don't even need this. I just think the novelty would be cool, but ridiculous. Let me know what you think of it in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. How do you feel about this? Do you think this is a wise decision? What do you think about a subscription service? You're spreading yourself too thin, Sega. You're trying to get into too many hands in the different cookie jars. Stick with the cookies that you love. Stick with the chocolate chip. You don't need to venture out into other avenues that might not be fruitful for you. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.